Brandon and I did not share what we were going to each bring this morning, but it's almost as if Pastor Brandon read my mind when he talked about the morning and the thanking of God for restoring our breath back to us. In Jewish tradition, there is a prayer that we say every morning, like usually as our feet hit the floor when we're first getting out of bed. You don't have to be in synagogue to say this. You just say it upon waking up and getting ready for the day. And the words are this: Modeh or Moda ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechachazarta bi nishmati v'chemla rabba emunatecha. You got it, right? What that means is, Moda ani, I am thankful. Moda ani lefanecha, before you, melech chai v'kayam, the sovereign of the world who lives in perpetuity or eternally. Shechachazarta bi nishmati, for restoring back into me my neshama, my soul. Shechachazarta bi nishmati bechemla, with great faithfulness. And then the last words, Rabba emunatecha, are the ones that I think are so super beautiful and interesting. Rabba means a lot, and emunatecha means your faith. This particular prayer doesn't talk about our faith in God. There's lots of those too, of course. But this particular one talks about God's faith in us to use the restored breath and the new day to do something amazing for the world. That God has faith in us that we're going to do it. So I just would love to take that one line and I'm going to sing it for you, but I wanted to make sure you understood what it meant first. So it goes like this: Moda ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechachazarta bi nishmati bechemla bechemla rabba emunatecha. So that's what we start with, is we start with this idea that we are given the gift of our breath, the gift of our souls, the gift of our day in order to do something amazing with it. And then I also wanted to just tell you a little bit about what you see me wearing this morning. This is called a talit. A talit is a prayer shawl, and Jews will wear the talit when they pray in the morning. And the fabric of the prayer shawl itself is not the thing, right? I mean, it helps to put it around your neck, but this is not the thing. The thing about a talit are these fringes at the end, all right? These fringes are called tzitzit, and sometimes they have a blue thread in them. You might have seen other talits that don't have the blue thread in them. Sometimes they're a little bit thinner and shorter, and sometimes they're a little bit thicker. But what a talit always has is tzitzit in the four corners. And the four corners represent the four corners of the world, right? The four directions of the world, or maybe the four elements of the world, right? Air, fire, earth, and water. Or maybe the four elements of ourselves, our minds and our hearts and our bodies and our souls, right? Think about it how you will. But these tzitzit are always the same in one way. And that is that they have the way that they are wrapped and knotted and twisted and turned means that there are 613 knots in these tzitzit. All right, pastors, why 613? Anybody know? Wait, why? Laws, yes, there are 613 mitzvot. Very good. Mitzvot are the words in Hebrew in the Torah, right? The Torah being the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, which you might know better as the Old Testament, same book, right? We call it the Hebrew Bible, and the first 5 books are the Torah. And in the Torah, there are 613 mitzvot, which are the laws or the commandments or the obligations, right? Now, I'm not going to go into a whole history of Israel, but some of those mitzvot were specific to biblical Israel, right? Which meant that you had to do certain things at the temple, the central temple of Jerusalem, which no longer stands, right? So what do we do about those certain mitzvot that we can't fulfill in that way anymore? Well, we look at what the message behind those mitzvot would be, right? Why go to the central temple of Jerusalem? In order to pray, for sure, but also in order to be in community, in order to come together in what we would call a kehilah kadosha, a holy community of people, and to be together. And so I would say that, okay, so we're not at the central temple of Yerushalayim, but we're in kehilah kadosha all the same. So I would say that we're fulfilling a mitzvah this morning for sure. So what we do is we talk about these tzitzit or these mitzvot as being kind of like ancient sticky notes, Post-it notes, reminders, things that tell us, okay, we've had our soul restored, but now what do we have to do when our soul is restored? And so we hold these tzitzit in our hands, and we read the words of our Torah. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your strength, with all your being. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them diligently to your children, right? Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. You've seen our mezuzot, right? Our little mezuzahs on Jewish houses and buildings, right? Bind them upon your hands, right? And put them as for frontlets before thine eyes. So all of this stuff, this is Exodus, by the way, the book of Shemot that I'm reciting right now. All of this is what we hold in our hands in the morning. Okay? So, wow, that's a lot in just one little few moments. And we haven't even done the prayer service. Don't worry, we're not gonna. But I wanted to just kind of give you a little bit of sense of what it means. The other thing that I really want to bring up very quickly this morning is the idea of B'Tselem Elohim. B'Tselem Elohim. For those of you who studied Hebrew in seminary, you might recognize that phrase. It's from the book of Bereshit. It's in fact from Bereshit is Genesis. This is from Genesis 1, like the very first portion of the entire Torah, which says that all of mankind was created in God's image. B'Tselem Elohim. B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God. And here's what I love about that. God has a lot of different names in Hebrew in the Torah, but Elohim is God's name in Genesis. And Elohim is interesting because the im part at the end of that word is actually plural. It's one God, okay? But God's name has a plural ending. And to me, that is such beautiful symbolism and imagery and metaphor for the fact that a whole plurality of people are all B'Tselem Elohim. There is not one kind of person, any one kind of person who is the image of God. It is all people who are in the image of God. So any single person you see in this Kehilah Kodashah or on the freeway today or any place else you go, that person is B'Tselem Elohim. Their name, their plurality is within the very first name of God that we meet in Genesis 1 in the very beginning of the Torah. So with that in mind, I'd love to introduce one more blessing. And this might be my all-time favorite blessing in all of Judaism. If you can really do that. It's like naming your favorite kid. I mean, it's probably not cool to do that. But I'm going to say that this is at least way up there as one of my favorites in Judaism. And it is a prayer that's called the Shechachianu. It's a blessing. Shechachianu. And I'm going to tell you first what it means. Well, first I'll say it in Hebrew so you can know what it sounds like. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shechachianu v'kiyimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Okay, which means, blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has sustained us and kept us safe and brought us to this specific and special moment in time. And the thing about that prayer is that you're supposed to say that prayer only. There are two occasions when you're supposed to say that prayer. One, the first time that something has ever happened, or when something hasn't happened for a long, long time, right? And guess what, guys? This Kehillah Kadoshah that we have right now, this is the first time in the history of the entire world and all of humankind that this exact group of people has been together in this exact same place on planet Earth. I mean, what an amazing blessing is that? So I'm going to sing the blessing for you, and I'm going to ask you to join me in the amens at the end. And by the way, amen is a Hebrew word that comes from emunah, which means faith. It's the same Hebrew root. So you're kind of saying, I have faith in, or I believe in, or I agree with that sentiment. So if you agree with this blessing, to thank God for bringing us all together and sanctifying this moment, I'll have you join me on the amens. Even if you've never heard the melody, sing it anyway. It goes like this. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shechachianu vekimanu vehigianu lazman hazeh. Join me. Amen. 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 Boker tov.